starting in basically in 2020, probably halfway, I focused a lot on me and going deeper in me and what is left. Even I work so long on myself, you know, there is always the other level or levels that I thought I already covered, but oh no, there is something left. So I really put a lot of energy into self-discovering on me. And just recently, well, like a week ago, I came back from Costa Rica. I did go for like a silent retreat where I really had to go deep in who I am at the moment, because we are changing. We want or not, our identity, we are changing every single day, every year. You know, it's not just the calendar. Even we kind of outside look the same, our soul we think is the same, but no, we are really shedding some stuff and growing. We notice it or not.
Absolutely. And you know what? Since you went to Costa Rica and that's on my bucket list to travel to, I am definitely going to ask you a few questions about that trip.
Absolutely, yes.
So, what I'll do now is I will officially start, and I want to welcome everyone to another episode of Behind the Shades with me, Terrain. I have my new favorite person to tell travel stories with, Beata. Beata, why don't you introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are?
Of course. So like you said, my name is Beata, and I originally come from Poland, but I live in United States at the moment. Well, at the moment, already 10 years. Wow. When did it go? Oh my gosh. And I'm a change and transition coach. So as a change and transition coach, I help people and businesses to navigate the chaos that they are very often finding themselves in. And we now living in with COVID and with all the situation, more than ever, we live in constantly changing world, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. So I help my clients to navigate those changes.
And I would say that 2020 is probably chaos like we haven't seen, right? It's like new to all of us. How are you navigating your clients specifically through and out of the effects of 2020?
Well, let me explain what is actually change and transition, because I think very often we are misleading ourselves or misunderstood that. So change is any event that is breaking your normal life patterns. For example, it could be a job loss, what happened in 2020 for millions of people in United States and in the world. It could be a new career. Come on, how many people decided, I don't want my old job, I'm gonna become entrepreneur in 2020? Also a divorce or relationship breakdown. Businesses, the owners, they were dealing with COVID because like hospitality, oh my gosh, what I do now, we are closed, I have to adjust. So change is an event that happens, and it is the fact. It happened. There is no doubt about that. And here where transition comes. Transition helps people to make the emotional adjustment to the new situation that occurred. In other words, your mind knows that things are difficult, but the heart is not accepting that. So my job, the main job for me, is to help my clients, to help them to adjust in the most healthy way mentally, because you know, when our mind is not healthy, our body shuts down as well. So I help my clients in a most healthy way to help them to adjust to the new situation and make best out of it.
And how did you absolutely and how did you do that for those clients coming out of last year, for example?
So in my case, I journal with my clients. So we use journaling because 2020 was stressful for all of us. And well, not only 2020, but it was extremely, yes, stressful, because that change just was never expected, not in a thousand or lifetime. Nobody could really, I remember watching the movie, oh my god, whatever movie, and there were people walking in a mask. It was science fiction a long time ago, and now we are wearing masks. Like, what the heck? How did they know? So I basically, how did I help? We journal, because journaling, it's not me, you can research it, it's the science. It's the best way to download the stress, to download the stories that are not really serving to you or my clients. So what are the stories? Like, I just lost a job, there is COVID, I will never, some of them, like, I will never find any other job, especially now, I'm done, my life is over. It's how our mind operates. It's done, I'm over, I'm not worthy. So we put ourselves down. And so I encourage my clients to write down all the stories that they are telling themselves. First of all, it's a stress download. Second, they actually can see, but come on, we are the visual. 90% of people is visual. When we see what we really think, because our thoughts, they're like clouds. Yeah, there's like million thoughts per second. So we can really focus and jump. We just jump from one story to the other. And when you write this down, and it's really, researchers, they prove that when you write your feelings, your thoughts down, you see what you're really telling yourself. And very often we have to go through these stories and it's like, what is really true? Is that true? Like, you had like 5 jobs in your life, and do you think that you cannot find the next one? Like, you are the only one in the entire world that you won't find it. So we have to find I'm always looking for a data, because if I can prove them that if you could do it once in your life, you can do it over and over. So don't stop and don't get stuck in the story that is not really true. I always encourage my clients to focus on solution, not on the problem, because we use this word problem, and the problem, just the word, and it also scientifically proved that the problem is just shutting down our mind, and we don't see the doors that are opening for us. We just see the shut doors that, okay, I don't know what to do. So we work, my job with my clients also on focusing on their mental strength and how they can overcome challenges successfully, because I can prove you, like right now, if we start talking about your story, that you overcome more challenges that you really admit you did in your life, and you can do it again and again and again. It depends where your focus goes.
Well, thank you. And for those listening, she's absolutely right. There's so many things that I have overcome. Not to say that I am the king of overcoming issues, but we all have something that we've overcome. We've all opened the door to our life, right? And it's said that I've overcome this, I've overcome that. But sometimes we forget, right? Some of the challenges that we may have overcome. And you've raised a good point that I didn't appreciate until maybe the last couple of years. The power, to those listening, the power of journaling. Journaling is so big, and I'll let you comment on that, Beata, as well. It is, once you put your thoughts to paper, I made those thoughts a reality. When I said that, you know what, I want to meet with Beata and we're going to discuss this, wrote it down, put it in an email, organized it. It was from my thoughts to paper, email to reality. Is that how important journaling is to you as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's it's the higher actually knowledge about journaling, that when you put your pen to paper, or it's actually also, you can do it with your laptop, because now when people use their notebooks, it's the same power. I know that for a long time, the researchers were saying pen to paper. And if it works for you, you always need to remember to pay attention to what works for you. If it's pen to paper, do it. If it's laptop, do it on your laptop or any other device. But yes, writing stuff down makes it reality, because as I think Bob Proctor says, if what you can hold in your mind and put to the paper, you can see it in your hand. It's not gonna happen probably in an hour or overnight, but it just brings your focus to what you really, really want. And it's one of my main questions that I ask my clients to journal about. What do I really, really want? Why two reallys? Because first one is for everyone else around you. Maybe your parents, your spouses, kids, family, I don't know, neighbors, friends, or coworkers or bosses, and then focus on, like, okay, it's not what I really want. What I really want is this. And it opens really your mind to who you really want to become. So the first question is, who do I what I really, really want? The second, because we are usually, when we go through process like that, it's not that we are 2 years old. Usually we are living longer on this Mother Earth, and sometimes we have goals that are not really true to who we are at the moment. So my second question is, can I live without it? Because the second question opens you to my dreams when I was maybe 18 years old. Are they really accurate to what I really want now? Because sometimes we run after some dream that is not really accurate to the life that we are living at the moment. So we are wasting our time. And the third question would be, what can I do about that? What resources do I have? And who do I need to ask for help? This is huge. I had issue to ask. I'm Polish, I'm feisty. I don't like to ask for help. So asking for help in my culture was that you are not good enough, you are not strong enough. So it was very difficult for me to ask for help. But if you can't do it on your own, there are people or resources available to help you. So don't quit on your dream, just find the way.
And that's a good point you raise. And for those wondering, when we said thoughts to paper, is not that her and I are old. We're just as young as everyone else, right? Because I know sometimes people think, who writes on paper? Like, when was the last time anyone wrote on a piece of paper, right? But you raised a good point that you want to put it down because you want to organize your day, you want to organize your thoughts, you want to go back and appreciate what you've accomplished. And when you mentioned yourself, what experiences in your life, Beata, got you to the point where you want to help others this way?
Oh, absolutely. I just want to add to the journaling that it helps organize the chaos that you think that you are living in. And this pen to paper, absolutely, whatever helps. And my experiences, whoa, where do I start?
Oh, we have time if you have time.
Oh, absolutely. So I moved to United States in 2011. And prior to that, I was in a long relationship. We were together for 11 years, and I had a schedule for my life. I had planned everything. Yes, so I did this and that. We got married at that time because I want to be successful before we create the family. So all my expectations were there. Everything was planned. And here you go, change occurred. My fiance at that time, he decided that he's done with that relationship, that he found someone who wants to spend his life with it. So from knowing how my future is gonna look like, during one night, because it happened in the evening, I found out that my life is what we call, I'm single again. So what do you do with it? And unfortunately for me, I was not aware at that time. I always like self-development, but I did not really get help, the right help at that time. And I went into depression for a couple of years. Like, I was depressed, and all this the stories that you are old. I was about 30 already, and like, you are old, no one will love you anymore, self-worth, everything was so down. I really hated the world around. When I saw a couple that was in love, I was like, ah, no, why you need to hug each other up front of me? So when you are unhappy on the inside, you really have to go there. And I was avoiding to go there because it was hurting. It was hurting that he did it to me. And even I then make a peace with that, we are not together, that's fine, it's what is my reality. But then I moved this anger and this frustration on myself. I was beating myself that I was not good enough for that man to love me. I was not good enough for that man to spend life with me. So, but you know, you can pour into the glass until it's full and then overflows. So I was so full of anger and inner hate. Basically, I didn't like myself. I didn't like who I see in the mirror. Like, who are you? I don't even like, I don't like to be with you, so how the other people would be. And I decided that this is the great moment. It was like 4 years later. So this misery for 4 years, I don't recommend that. 4 years later, I decided I'm making huge change. And this is I think something that your audience and hopefully mine that is listening later on will pay attention to. Sometimes we wait to make a change until the inner pain is so huge that we can take it anymore. So it happened to me. The inner pain was so huge that it's like, now I have to do something, or I don't even want to leave. It was what was my how my brain was operating at that time. And what is the best way? I was always a great runner. Oh my gosh, I was a great runner. So I'm gonna run away to United States. I'm gonna go across the ocean, because when I cross the ocean, I'm gonna leave everything behind me. No pain, new life, and come on, United States. Everything is possible. Well, it's the story that I was telling myself. As soon as I landed in US, started new job, new life, didn't know anyone. When I thought that my language is awesome, but when you start hearing this, you know, what you call it, dialect, like, hey bro, hey sis, what up? I was like, what they are saying? Yes, so I had to basically become a beginner again, beginner mind, to learn everything, and even how to register a car, which was challenging as well. So you basically start your life over again. And it was the moment when I also realized that no matter how far you want to run from your pain, from your thoughts, from your story, you always gonna have it in here, in your mind, with you, and in your heart. It's where the heaviness usually sits. And it was also the time when I realized that I have to take care of my past so I can live and move and grow, step into the future. So I reached out to a couple coaches, but finally ended with very awesome one from Canada, by the way. So she helped me a lot, and she helped me also. She introduced me to journaling, and when I started, I was like, oh my gosh, where journaling was my entire life. Like, this is brilliant. I basically rediscover myself, who I was, who I am, because I didn't pay attention how much I changed, and also didn't pay attention what stuff is not serving me anymore, what I don't want to tolerate and accept anymore in my life. And that change is actually in my own hands. I can change my life. Nobody outside of me can do it. I found I fall in love again, but it was challenging. It was because I had my baggage. He had his own baggage. We were in our, well, I was in my 30s, and we don't come clean, yes, when we already been in relationship and had some kind of life. So it was another part of me that had to be rediscovered. And basically I was creating my new identity, freedom. I had to go deep and see what were my values when nobody was telling me who I am, like when there was no expectations from my family. Oh, come on, you are 30, you should supposed to get married, have kids, and yeah, it's what we have. So I had to really rediscover myself all over again. And it's what very often what change is about. We have to redefine who we are.
And you made a good point, because many of us have experienced a relationship that maybe doesn't lead into marriage, but yours did in that particular scenario. And what is hard, for men, for women, for everyone, um, is when it ends, we're not really taught what to do when a relationship ends, right? We're taught what to do when we want one. Let's say, for example, if I wanted to have a relationship with you, I would approach you. My name is so and so. Would you like to grab a coffee? You may say yes, you may say no, and then we go from there. But if we end up together and it's not going that well, yes, there's books and there's TV shows and there's everything to maintain it, but there isn't the conversation that says, what if you and I were to divorce? How do I function? How do you function? Because if we, to your point, if we just run away from it, or if we just move away from it, we leave each other who's caused us pain, and that's why it's ended, but we don't resolve the memories, the disappointment, the heartbreak, the tragedy, the pain, the tears. We don't ever address that because we're not taught. We're just told you go to school 2023. When you graduate, you have to be married by 30. So in 7 years, you have to figure it out.
Right.
But no one tells us how to figure it out. And then when we, by the good graces of either our hard work or falling in love or meeting someone, when we meet someone and it doesn't work out, human nature is to do what? Is to remove ourselves physically from it. But we don't remove ourselves, in a lot of times, emotionally from the pain, mentally from the pain. Did you find that part harder for you versus you coming to the States? Like, which one was easier for you to do and why?
Absolutely. Physical adaptation is much easier than mental. This is the transition that I was talking about. We basically are dragged with our old stories, our old experiences and expectations. You just said we move into the relationship and everything is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Oh, I love you too. And we don't talk. What when we gonna hit challenges? How do we treat each other? So we are not taught how to communicate. And it's what I see with my clients and before in my own relationships, that we don't communicate authentically what we really want from this relationship. But it all starts with us. So first, who I want to be in this relationship before I ask you who I want you to be, because the change starts from within. And if I come to the relationship with kindness and respect. So I often hear from my clients, especially women, that their men, they always talk, I just want you to respect me. I just want you to respect me. And I was like, okay, and what does respect means to them? What does it mean? Like when you say, I want your respect, what does it mean? I don't know. He doesn't know how to explain it. He just wants to be respected. So this is the first barrier, first challenge. You don't even know what the respect means to you because you never thought, you were just taught, probably you heard from your father or your mom, the fights. I was one of the kids back in the time when I heard, I just want your respect, but no one was talking to each other. What does it mean? Respect to me means that you talk kindly to me. Respect means that you don't yell at me. When you see something that you don't appreciate about me doing or saying, there is much kinder way to express it than yelling or shutting down or saying, I'm not talking to you, leave me alone. So it's the silence treatment. It what we do to each other. And oh my gosh, I did it once to my husband. I didn't talk to him for almost 2 months because I was so much in pain, and it was something silly. Then I didn't even remember what was it. So we just get caught in the pain and hurt, and that the world should not, we shouldn't be treated that way. I should be treated better. But what does it mean? How we want to be treated? Express what you really want in your relationship. So the biggest barrier in all relationships when the issues came later on is the lack of communication and expressing who we are, what we do really want. And before actually we get into this lasting relationship, we don't really say what are our expectations. And I don't like to really say expectations. I like standards, because so expectation is something that I put on you, and you might not measure that expectation. But if I introduce you to my standards, my values, it's how I operate, then you can see, and he can tell, or she can tell you if it's acceptable for them and if they want to live the same way. So there is no one manual that is ready for how to live your marriage or how to live in your relationship, but it's this everyday discovering. But you have to put the input that you are curious about this other person. If they are nervous, they are stressed, anger, it's not necessarily about you. Most often is about the job, about the everyday stress, the COVID, the men, especially if they are the only one working for the family, they are often under the stress. Am I gonna provide for my family? And they don't want to share it with you because they are men. Yes, they are the providers, the alpha. Yes, people. So they don't want you to worry, or your family. They want you to think that everything is fine. But then you can see this stress arising in them, and how you can help. Ask. Don't pretend that you know that there is elephant in the room, but we don't talk about that. And we can take it many ways, but the number one, the foundation of every healthy relationship is conversation and communication to each other every single day. And silence is not going to help neither of you.
And I think that's a lost art. I think communication between two people is something that is missing. And it's unfortunate because that's how we communicate what we want. And to your point, it's a standard. And I like that word better than expectation, because an expectation is something that you place on someone in a way unfairly, because if they don't live up to it, it's not an expectation they set. If I said that I want my women, I expect you to do this, you're gonna look at me like, well, I can't do that. I didn't agree to that. So he's gonna put everyone in a difficult situation. But if I say that, you know what, my standard is I want these three things, I'm going to look for a partner that meets those three things with, instead of me imposing those three things on people. Do you think that is one of the big issues between two people who are in the stage of courtship and they're trying to say, okay, you know what, I want, but they're not taking a step back and saying that, you know what, if I want these things so badly, if it's so important, why am I putting it on her? Why am I putting it on him? Why don't I find someone that has that? Do you think communication is a lost art at this point?
Yes, absolutely. It's a lost art, which I even had to rediscover in what I teach my clients. But before that, I think the other important point is you have to really know yourself before you set standards or expectations from the others. If you know yourself and you know how you would like be treated, you would not ever treat other person different way. even if there is a divorce or the long-term relationship breakup, you know, it's get nasty. People get ugly to each other because there is this desire of revenge. Hardly ever there is the situation when we both decide, okay, there are, I'm not saying that they are not people like, yes, we live together, I don't know, 10, 15, 30 years. We started growing. It's what I always call, it's not that you just stop living together. You were just growing separately, different ways. And let's end this relationship before it gets ugly. It's probably 1%. It hardly ever happens. Usually one person is numbing that desire that I'm not happy in this relation, because they don't want to hurt the other person. And so they are pretending, oh, I'm tired. Oh, you are so quiet. What's going on? Oh, I have a lot of work at work. So they live in the same house, but in separate rooms. They just like roommates. Probably roommates sometimes spend more time with each other than the marriages. So get to know yourself. If you know how you would like to be treated, you would never treat the other person in a bad way. And the revenge that we want because this other person decided to start new life wouldn't be that ugly. Because especially women, unfortunately, ladies, I have to be honest, especially women, they want revenge. If I'm not happy because you left me, I will make your life miserable. And if there are kids, it's the most sad part for me, seeing how, and again, unfortunately, most of the time it's women. I'm a woman, so it's hard for me to say it, but they are using kids against their partners, because if I cannot hurt you directly, I will use the kids to hurt you. It's the most damaging for the whole family thing, but for the kids, because basically at that moment you're preparing your poor kids for a long time therapy in the future, and probably a lot of broken relationships on the way for them.
How the situation you just described, and I agree, there's some times where when a relationship ends, it becomes so destructive, right? You would think that there's only two emotions: I love you or I hate you, and there's nothing in between,
No,
right?
in the middle. Yeah.
Nothing in the middle. So how how much of an impact does that have in your, since in your experience, from on a personal level and from the clients you deal with, when two people break up and they go down the path saying that, you know what, I'm not happy because I'm not with you anymore, so I'm going to do this to you. I want you to not see what I'm going through. I want you to feel it. How much of an impact does that have, positive or negative, on the clients that you've seen, since you can speak on a personal and a professional level?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you. And unfortunately, at the very beginning of situations like that, people don't see the good side. Everything is bad. So the mental damage is huge, because we start telling ourselves stories about ourselves that we are not enough, that we don't deserve. Then we go to the revenge. If I'm not happy, you won't be happy too. So we do everything to make this other person miserable. And but it's there is a story that hating other person and wishing them to, you know, to be in the same pain is like wanting to poison them by drinking the poison by yourself. Who is really poisoned at that moment? You. So we are killing ourselves. We are poisoning with this bad thoughts ourselves. And if you have negative feelings and negative mindset for a long time, it's eventually gonna reflect in your body. So first, the depression, then there's anger, mental issues if you only focus on this revenge. So then your body shuts down and you it's proven, the researchers, and they prove that the cancer, the heart attacks. So it has a lot of negative, actually, influences on you if you go that road. But then because the change has stages. So first is denial. The second is confusion. Like, oh, I don't know what to do. And sometimes there is still this revenge, and I'm gonna show you what is pain. Yes, all this stuff. And then and here I would really encourage everyone to find a mentor, coach, counselor who will help you to go through that stage, this inner hate, inner issue, because you hate really yourself, not that other person. You hate yourself because I went through it. I hated myself that I did not have control over it. And when we don't have control, humans, come on, we always want control, then we might get really disgusting. And if you have someone who will really help you to go through this negative stage when you are in a victim, because the victim mentality, yeah, I'm a victim, everything is happening to me. So if you have the right person who mentor, that will help you to switch that point of view and see what life is actually doing for you by removing that situation, that person from your life, you can open your heart, first of all, and positive perception on your life. Like, oh my gosh, before I had to stay home because, for example, my partner was not outgoing, and I decided, when we are in relationships and we care, we very often waste the sense of our identity and become more like the other person, especially when we know that the other person wants to leave. So I will do everything for you so you stay with me. I will be attached. So, and it's not the healthy way. And eventually that person leaves anyway if they really want to leave. So then after going through this victim state, you see, wow, now I can find me. Now I can focus on what I'm going to my first question, what I really want for myself, who I can become, what kind of activities I can do that I couldn't do before. If you have kids, what you can do just with your kids, and that you didn't do before because it was maybe not healthy environment probably for all of you. So there are many opportunities. You can travel more. Yes, now it's COVID, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna quit on your dreams. So start planning. This is gonna change. Everything changes because life is change. So my job very often is first stage to help my clients overcome this negative perception and the view that they have at the moment because of the situation, and go on the other side, the better side, like, wow, now I can be me because I even don't know what's mean to be me.
And you raise a good point. As you're mentioning that, I was remembering a relationship that I had years ago, and I'll share because what you're saying, I could have definitely used your advice back then when you mentioned what you really want. And I look back, and I remember I was dating this person, and I had this aspiration of becoming a personal trainer. And then the person's like, "Oh, well, you can't do that because you're going to be training women." So
Oh,
I made the same face. So for those who can't see her face, she made this face like, really? So so we had this conversation, and I use the word conversation loosely because it was more of her yelling and me listening. So and then she raised these points, and the reason why I bring this story to everyone listening to you is because you mentioned something that triggered it. How we start to change part of ourselves or lose part of ourselves to fit what that person is, even though we are not that person. And looking back, I didn't like that part of that person. But yet, because we have stardust in our eyes, we have love,
yeah.
when we walk outside, every type of animal that you see is singing some song that makes you feel good, right? You know, you
Butterflies are
there
everywhere.
you go. Yeah, you've been there. You no longer walk, right? You're just floating through life because you're so enwrapped in your emotions. And I think that's what some of us suffer. Some of us suffer that we lose ourselves in our relationships. Then when it ends, part of the reason I think, and I'll let you comment, that we get so mad is because we're like, I gave up a part of me to be with this person. I changed things that I love about myself for this person. And
Yeah.
now what do you have? You have those the month, the years, whatever, loss that you weren't being you. You couldn't maybe travel because a person wasn't traveling. You couldn't go to a favorite movie because a person wasn't outgoing. You couldn't do certain things because you compromised. And I find that people who tend to compromise themselves more are the ones who actually get left behind. Do you find that to be true?
Uh, so definitely there is some truth in that. I'm not sure about that. Well, they feel that this is a perfect wording that you said. They feel left behind. But is that true? Because it's the story that they have in their mind that thought creates feelings, feelings create habits, and habits creates our actions. So I would go back, what is the story that you feel or ever in your life felt behind? Who is in that story? When you close your eyes and you feel that feeling, who do you see? Because we sometimes we separate ourselves from people, and then we say, oh, they left us behind. But did you express that you want to be included? Oh, I'm not that person. So, well, so sometimes it's more complicated. It's more easy than we think because we make it in our mind complicated. And I see it. I have a very close friend, and he has this issue that he feels left behind by his friends. That recently he said, I don't really have friends. I said, well, did you like reach out to them? Did you ask that you want to be included? No, they should invite me. We are not mind readers. Like, come on, you have to express yourself. And it's what comes, take actions. Action, it means also telling people what you want and that you want to be included. And yes, but a lot of people feel left behind because of the stories that they are telling themselves. And the story very often is part of the experience, the past experiences. So our brain is searching, oh, it happened to you before, you felt the same. So it's true to what is happening right now. But it's not really true, but it's really hard work to go and unwire that stories and reveal, like, why do I have even that story? And we don't want to really admit, but we cause it very often by, like I said, not asking, not telling people what you want. We feel the way, but we are the cause of that. Inaction brings no action. So if you don't express your needs, they are not going to be met. And relationship is a very tough topic because there is two different people with different expectations, different values coming together. And we already mentioned at the first phase is, oh my gosh, everything is possible. And then when challenges comes, we don't communicate, we bottled up all the emotions, and then there is a fire. And like you said, I sacrificed my life for you, I stayed at home with kids when you could working. But shouldn't you make agreements? Like, shouldn't you agree on it when it was happening? Okay, honey, I'm gonna work, you are staying home. Or what we do, we don't communicate. It goes back to the first topic of our conversation, communication. It's gonna save you a lot of pain, hatred, and it's love. Come on, if you focus on love. I have a friend, and she introduced me to that question. If something is going in my life not the right not the way I want, and I'm getting upset, and I'm just human. I'm getting upset. Even I have all this knowledge, yes, in self-development, I'm getting upset and it's not going my way. What the heck, life? And it's like, what? And she said, in that moment, always ask yourself, what love would do in that situations? What love would do? Because if you even if you never experience really real love, in our mind, when you go there, it's so pure. Your heart is like lightening and it's brighter. So just go there, what love would do. And I think every single relationship that goes through challenging times, and in the moment when you want to attack, yes, because we are attacking, like, I need to protect myself, so I'm gonna attack first, and this fight comes, ask yourself, what would love do in that moment? Remove, and another great advice that I practice and my clients too, remove yourself from the situation. You don't have to, every fight is not your fight. Maybe your partner is going through some challenging times and just need to go and get some time for themselves. So instead of stepping into and joining the fight, like, no, I didn't say it, you said it, no, you said it, oh, you always attack me or yell, like, okay, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Reach out when you're ready and remove yourself. Go from the kitchen to the bedroom, or just remove yourself from this bad energy that already is there. And let them know that you are there for them, but don't, sometimes, especially we women, again, we're like, okay, I see that something is happening, tell me what is happening. Yeah, I can see it in your eyes, you're more quiet, so, and it's like, oh honey, I just need some time, everything is fine. No, tell me. So we are pushing this man, or opposite, the other man is pushing, yeah, I see that something is not right, you need to tell me now. No, give them the space. Maybe it's not about you, really. Yeah? We always think that it's about us in relationship. Even at work, when coworkers, yeah, they have their own days that they don't really speak to us that often. So, oh, he doesn't or she doesn't like me anymore. What did I do? So we tell ourselves these freaking crazy stories that are not really supporting our living and happiness.